The Iceberg. It's like a tier list, but it ranks how obscure something is, which is pretty neat. I've decided to do mine on Sydney trains and other Sydney trains because I haven't seen anything similar to this. I might do something on Newcastle Transit afterwards, and then, other areas of New South Wales, maybe even Melbourne, who knows. Let's just get right into it. The sky. Mortuary station and cemetery lines. In some of the first years of the rail network, funeral services will be done via rail. These would include Sandgate Cemetery, Rookwood Cemetery 1, 2, 3 and 4, Warrenora Cemetery, Newcastle Mortuary and Mortuary, also known as Regent Street. Only Regent Street still exists, however is only used for heritage services once every blue moon. Sandgate Cemetery and Rookwood Cemetery 1 and 3 have some remnants lying around, and Rookwood 2 and 4 still have their alignments completely clear. There is nothing left of Newcastle Mortuary near the Warrenora Cemetery stations. Old Sydney Trams. Before 1961, Sydney had a huge tram network, one of the biggest in the world. They would head out from the CBD to the north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west and northwest. L2, L3 built on old tram tracks. Many parts of the controversial CBD and Southeast Light Rail were built over old tram tracks from the original network, sometimes digging up old rails. These were donated to the Sydney Tram Museum, which you will find out later to be a trend. A lot of abandoned rails have been donated to the Tram Museum, which is kinda nice. The L1 was also partially built on old tram tracks. Sydney Airport price increases. The Airport Link line isn't actually owned by Sydney Trams and TAHE, which for those who don't know, this year Railcorp died and turned into the TAHE, or TA. Instead, the stations, except for Walleye Creek, are owned by the Airport Link Company. Due to this, all 4 stations had a $2 price increase for anyone who enters or exits the station. In 2011, Green Square and Mascot stations lost their price increases, with them being paid by the government, not the passengers. Freightlines. In Sydney, there are many freight lines heading around to places such as Torora, Enfield and Botany. This was to ease off the passenger lines from all freight traffic. Here's a map. These lines have some very interesting parts of history here and there, which we will get into a bit later. T6 missing. The T6 doesn't exist on the 2020 train map. If you're a Sydney-sider like myself, the answer to why this is obvious. This line was the Carlingford line until January of this year. It is now being converted to the Parramatta Light Rail, which will open in 2023, hopefully. Old Parramatta Tram. As I just said, Parramatta is getting a new light rail line, dubbed the L4. However, Parramatta had a small tram network of its own with only 2 lines back in the day. Many parts of it are being rebuilt for the new light rail. Sydney Metro West and Greater West. These are 2 proposed metro lines that will be part of the metro network in the future. Greater West heads from St Mary's to the new Western Sydney Airport, while West heads from somewhere undecided in the CBD to Westmead along the Parramatta River. Epping Chatswood Train Line. From 2009 to 2019, the part of track between Epping and Chatswood were operated by Sydney Trams, originally City Rail. Interestingly, all the signage on these stations were never really updated, which makes sense. You're going to rebuild it anyway, so why bother making orange signs? For the first couple months of the operation, it served as its own completely independent line. I think it was green on the map. It ran exclusively HSET trains for that time period before being incorporated into the regular system with a new timetable restructure. That's the sky done, so let's look at a tip now.